Okay.
Hello. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited for this live. And so Kristi is here from California, right? I won't say,
Yes.
I won't dox you too much, but
No,
across the
I mean
country.
everyone knows it's pretty.
Yeah.
My school board is
Oh,
in
yeah,
the
that's
media
true.
all the time, and I'm interviewed
That's
all the
true.
time, so everyone knows
That's
I
true.
live in Chino.
Yeah, exactly. I know. What was I know I'm always the conscious of that, but like
I know, but
it's pretty
I'm
obvious
I'm
where we
I'm
live.
already out there, so yeah.
Yeah, me too. Like you can find me pretty easily, and some people
hmm
have, but that's a different
Same,
conversation.
same. We
Right?
can talk about that
Right?
later. When you get mail that you shouldn't get, that's exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, like, oh, hi, nice to see you. Okay, so we have been meaning to do this. I think the first time we met, we have never met in person, but I feel like we met, was my memory of it might be different than yours, is a couple years ago. I
hmm
think it was a couple years now
It
when
was
I
because
was.
I've been following you for a long time.
Yeah, and I've been following you for a long time. And I was sitting there like, okay, Moms for Liberty can't represent most parents. And I just tweeted something, I think it was still Twitter even, like, where are all the other parent groups that are not Moms for Liberty? And everyone
I
kept
for
tagging you, right?
I for sure found you on Instagram. I've
Yeah, it
always
was
been an
Instagram. Yeah,
Instagrammer.
it was
I'm
Instagram.
like,
Yeah.
Twitter was never my jam. Like, I
Smart.
was a
Probably
little late
smart.
to the social media stuff, and by the time I was really picking it up, Twitter was already like tanking. So
Yeah. Yeah.
we
Yeah.
had a Twitter, but yeah,
Right.
for sure it
Right.
was Instagram, and
It was
it might have even been
Instagram. Yeah.
Emily Amick because
Yes. Yes.
mhm,
Yes. That's how, who
she
I
was
just
posting
recently
about
saw.
Moms for Liberty, and she's one of the reasons I even knew who they were more than most people did. And this was like,
Okay.
2022. It was a long time ago,
Yeah.
early 2022,
Yes.
2021. Yeah, before I
Yeah.
started the org.
Yeah, and that was their kind of when they transitioned from masks and COVID and
Uh
vaccines, and
huh.
then they went right
Yes.
into in for the kill. So let's just
Yes.
back up and well, what we really want to talk about right now is Cory Booker. But do you want to
Yes.
just briefly introduce who
Okay.
you are to people who don't know yet and what you do, and then let's just talk about Cory Booker.
I agree. So I'm gonna go
Yeah.
super fast. So my name is Kristi Hirst. I co-founded Our Schools USA. We're a national nonprofit that is, I mean, for a lack of being quicker to explain, like the anti-moms for liberty.
Yeah.
We obviously, my dream is to advocate for policies that would improve public education. Unfortunately, it's been really wrapped up in just preventing its demise,
Yeah.
and it's not getting any easier. I
Yeah.
am a former teacher too, so I was a teacher for like 12 years. I did elementary, I did high school, and I also did some administrative work. That's what my master's is in. So I
Yeah.
have like a background in ed, and I have 3 kids in public schools right now. So like my
Awesome.
ties to public schools are very broad, right? Like I have a child in
Yeah.
elementary school, middle school, high school. So I've kind of done everything K-12.
You've seen it all. And I myself don't have kids, but I've been teaching for 23 years, same school,
I
juniors in high school.
I think that we would have been hired the same year because I would
Uh,
be right about 23. I was
Oh
this
yeah.
would have been my 22nd year. I was hired in 2003. So we're
Yeah,
really close.
2002. We
Yeah.
would have been teaching together if we were in the same
Yeah.
state and same
And
school.
I did
Yeah,
teach high school for a few years, but health
that could have been
also
us.
fun.
It's
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
health. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I mean even
It
health,
was fun.
but
Can you
even
imagine
health.
now?
Yeah, I was gonna say health education not so fun anymore. I mean, so I was talking to someone earlier tonight about, she asked me how the Trump administration, Trump 2.0 is affecting my job, my students, and I said,
Mm-hmm.
well, I'm in a as of now, and I might be eating my words in a couple months. I'm in a privileged place right now where I teach in New York City public high school, and one of the more progressive ones. We're an environmental high
Mm-hmm.
school. I have a fair share of trans kids, out queer kids.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
everyone's
Yeah.
accepting. We're a truly diverse school. I have the everyone's welcome here flag, which triggers everyone on the right because
Oh
God
yeah.
forbid
Uh-huh.
that kind
Uh-huh.
of
Uh-huh.
stuff.
Oh
What's
yeah, we
your
banned those in my school district.
Yes, so can we talk about that? So that's where I am, and people ask me like, why do you keep speaking out? And it's like, well, because I can, and it gets me so freaking angry every time I talk to any other teachers who are in places where they can't even do
Yeah,
the
it's
basic of things. So what's it like in your neck of the woods?
well, like ironically, like that's what sort of started me speaking out. I was a
Yeah,
teacher. I had just left and I had taught health, which included comprehensive sex ed. And
right.
the same players that are coming through now attacking like LGBTQIA rights, they were coming through and spreading all this disinformation about what is taught in comprehensive sex ed. So I started speaking out then and attending my local board meetings and like sharing truths, because I was like, no, I taught this curriculum. I
Right.
adopted this curriculum. It's the same curriculum and this is all lies. So
Yeah.
that's sort of how I started, was as a
That's
teacher, I felt like
amazing.
I had to speak out. And that's why I still, am drawn
So
to public education.
so Kristi, you were one of those teachers, educators we were seeing in the news at those school boards on those mics, right?
I wasn't in the classroom anymore, but
Oh,
yes. I
so
mean,
but
and
you
I've
would,
been speaking
yeah,
out since. Correct,
yeah.
correct. And then I mean, because I was a teacher for so long, I'm always identified as a teacher. Some people will wrongly say I am right
I
now, but no,
I think you're I still, that's why I said that. I think once a teacher, always a teacher.
I do
And
too.
like and that's why you were a teacher, maybe not like in the classroom at the time. You're speaking out, right, at your school board. And
Exactly.
like, are you ever scared in your community for speaking out? Does it go to that level in where you live?
I mean, yes. Part
Yeah.
of it for me is just my personality.
Yeah.
I worry more about retaliation against my children. So
Oh,
because I still have 3 kids in the district, and so you follow me. You don't see
yeah.
my kids anywhere. I don't
Yeah.
have their photos anywhere. I don't
Yeah.
show them on my pages, anything public. If I get interviewed by media, which has happened multiple times, and they come to my home, I'm like, there cannot be anything from my children showing. Their baby
Yeah.
photos cannot be in the background. That's my rule. That's
That's smart.
always my thing, just because I feel like, what are they going to do to my kids if they see them out and about? Or are they going to attack my kids? And I don't want my kids to have that on them. But I've definitely, I've been in school board meetings sitting by Proud Boys.
Jesus. What's that like?
One of the
What's
Proud
that
Boys
like?
he was just released from, he was just pardoned. And I sat like 10 feet
Oh my
from him
God.
in the time that my district passed forced outing. And
Mhm.
honestly, it was horrible. It was really horrible. It was
Wait,
shocking to watch.
can you tell people about that who haven't been following your school board, and what's forced
So
outing?
my school board is, I mean, I'm in California, so
Yeah.
obviously my state is protective, but
Yeah.
we have a school board that sort of got flipped with everyone, like that Moms for Liberty wave in
Mhm.
2022.
Mhm.
And I happened to get a board that decided they were going to be the leaders in California on anti LGBTQIA policies. So they were elected in November, got their seats in January 2023, and in June and July, they passed a flag ban everywhere.
A
So
flag
I'm talking
ban.
like everywhere, but they also apply it to like signs that say everyone's welcome here. And I'm talking like even a little tiny flag on your desk, not just on the
Really?
flagpole. Yeah, everywhere. And
Anywhere,
then
like a
they
sticker.
passed,
Like I have
yeah,
this, like I was
you can have it on you, because
like,
that's like a First Amendment
so
right.
could
You can
I
do
wear
that.
this? Because we were doing trans visibility. I could do that. Okay.
You could do that.
But
But
would
it
I
couldn't
want
be
to?
like
Would
on
I
your
want to?
desk. I mean, would you? I'm not
I
gonna
mean,
lie. I would want to.
I would,
I
but I
would
also,
too.
I probably wouldn't. At this point, someone was like, "Could you teach in Florida?" I was like, "No one would hire me because you just Google me, and I'm the girl with the pride flag who teaches that people should all be equal." You know,
I mean, can you imagine? Like, and so my board definitely knows me, right? Like,
of course.
have. I mean, I'm jumping ahead greatly, but I worked with the state of California to pass a law that made it explicitly illegal to force teachers to out students after
Thank
my
you.
district did it, because they were interpreting the law, constitutional rights, right? They were interpreting the right and non-discrimination law. And so we made it explicitly illegal to force teachers to out students.
So teachers, okay, this I feel like I don't even understand because that's wild to me from New York City and the place of
Oh,
privilege
wow.
I'm in. So teachers were obligated to out students to their parents. So what confuses me about that is that these aren't these the same people who believe that teachers are making their students gay and queer and trans. So on the one hand, we are responsible for backroom trans surgeries, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
what Trump was saying in his joint
Mm-hmm.
address.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, we should also be on the alert for kids who are LGBTQ plus.
It
So
was, if they asked you, it was just specifically trans and
okay, just
non-binary.
trans. Okay.
And if they asked to use a name or go by a pronoun that wasn't on their birth certificate, or
I
asked
see.
to use the restroom that wasn't associated with the gender on their birth certificate, or play on a team, or use the locker room, that prompted a report to parents, and they had 3 days to report it. The school did.
And what happens if the parents were like, "Yeah, I know." Then
I mean,
what
honestly, that's
happens?
usually what happened.
Yeah, right.
It was only in place for 3 weeks because
Okay. Yeah, because
the Attorney General of California received multiple complaints of harm. Kids were
Of
literally afraid to go to school, and
course.
so they didn't come out. The kids that truly couldn't come out didn't. That's
I
really what
see.
it came
I see.
to. They would get warned. The teachers were allowed to say, just so you know, I have to tell your parents this. So they would
Mhm.
get the warning and they could take it back. So I will
Oh, they can take it
tell you
back.
that
Okay.
I am unaware of any kid that was in a situation where it was dangerous for their parents to know,
Mhm.
and then they came out. They just stayed.
They stayed in, yeah.
They dead named themselves. Yeah. And that's what
That's
the reports are I
awesome.
get from school sites and students who've reached out
I
because I'm
see.
public. hmm
I
And
see.
so,
Okay.
but it only was in place for 3 weeks. And
So
then this
okay,
could
so
be a whole
that's
long conversation. I don't
yeah.
want to.
Yeah, well, I guess like to tie it up, it's like what lessons can folks who are listening and watching take from what you all did to fight this kind of stuff in other parts of the country? Like was there something any advice that you have for people contending with this right now?
I think that you need to push back hard as soon as it starts.
Mhm.
And what I do really for my org is like literally come in and give advice to people based on their community. So if this is something you're facing, like reach out to me. Like you can find me on Instagram at Our Schools USA. I'm the one answering the messages, so you will reach me
Awesome.
directly. You can my email and our website. You will link in there and on our link tree. So
We'll link it all here. Yeah.
depending on your community and where you're at, I would, advise different things.
That's
Pushing
smart.
back, I think drawing attention to the fact that, families they're claiming to help with these policies don't want them, that it's
Yeah.
a way, it's a drain on resources and energy and time that we simply don't have in public education. And it
No.
does nothing to actually improve educational outcomes for students. It doesn't.
At
It
all.
actually harms the ones that it's targeting, and it does nothing for the ones that it's not targeting.
Yeah.
So I think that that's what we're seeing at the national level with education right now. Everything they're
Yeah.
doing is designed to break down public education.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
So
the
let's
point of
let
it, because they want to
yeah.
dismantle public education. And so
Right.
that's what all this is.
Yeah. It has
Somebody
nothing
at
to do with
Moms for Liberty
trans kids.
conference,
Yeah.
yeah, a Moms for Liberty conference guy admitted from Heritage, Jay Richards admitted to
Yes.
coming up with this idea.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's all astroturfed. And
Right.
they've jumped from one thing to the other. It was COVID, then it was CRT
Mhm.
bans, then it
Mhm.
was, outing kids, and now
Right.
it's trans issues with
Trans
sports and
issues.
facilities.
Yeah.
So they're just trying to find wedge issues to keep people mad and distracted, so you don't
Mhm.
realize we're actually not improving your schools. We're
No.
actually making them worse. And right now, I'm sure like parents, that's not what parents are worried about. They're worried about
No.
the cuts coming. They're worried about
Yes.
access to special education that's getting cut. They're
Yes.
worried about, are their teachers going to be fired? Those are
Right.
are we even going to have access to a school? Like,
Yeah.
those
Exactly.
are the
Exactly.
concerns.
Right. Are they going? Because the goal of everyone doing this is to privatize our education system. And unfortunately, people who voted for Trump are going to learn the hard way when their services are gone. When, as you said, the school gets so defunded, they
I mean,
lose teachers. And
yep.
also when the school itself might be gone and they're going to have to pay for it. Right.
I mean, I think that any day now we're going to see, there was that school choice
Yeah.
letter release, but I read it and it was really like the local education
Yes.
agency can use up to 3% to specialize things. I'm like, that's not
Mhm.
quite
Yeah.
school choice. And they
No.
don't mean school choice. I have to always tell people this. They don't mean
It's
school
not a
choice in
it's
the
not
way that
about
everyone
choices.
normally thinks about it. It's not like
Uh-huh.
you can move from school to school in your district. This is you're a voucher system. So I want to make sure I forget that people still think of school choice like from the 2010s. And this is not
Yeah.
the school choice of the 2010s.
No.
But everything is to defund public schools. And even
Yes.
in Project 2025, there's a line that says they want to, in Title I is one of the main funding that they
Hmm.
provide, that
Hmm.
over 10 years, they want that to be given back to the states. The
Yeah.
states have to fund Title I. I'm like, well, there it is.
There
They
you
want
go.
to pass off. They don't want to fund it
No, they
at all.
don't. They don't want to fund
No,
it. And the
no.
states that are suffering the most right now with their education systems are also going to be the first ones to not have the money or the desire to
Mm-hmm.
allocate those funds to Title I
Yes.
services. So I think it's a good segue because we're talking about segue because we're talking about national level stuff. So last night and into
I
the
know. I was
morning,
like, we got it. We got to
into
get on to Corey.
okay, let's. I'm like we okay. We
I
our
have to. I'm
original.
sorry.
Yeah, our original plan was just to talk about education, which we could talk. We'll continue talking about another time,
We could talk about
but
it for hours.
we could talk for hours. But what captured the headlines and just my screens everywhere all day
And
whenever I
my
could look,
attention. Yeah.
yeah, and my attention was Senator Cory Booker's
Mm-hmm.
record breaking call to this what he's calling this moral moment
I
that
mean,
was yeah.
so
So
amazing. I'm inspired. That's where I'm
he took
feeling. I'm like, thank God somebody made
yeah.
a bold move that we've been begging for. And those of us who are like fighting so hard locally
Hmm.
needed
Hmm.
to see somebody at that level give that same level of fight. And I think it was a
Yeah.
really powerful moment to do it ahead of, what Saturday is supposed to be a big day to go
Hmm.
out. And I
Yeah.
think that he's going to inspire a lot of people. I know, like, I feel more inspired after today, and I tuned in quite a few times to listen. So I think that it is going to, I'm hopeful that it is this pivotal moment in all of this where other people are like, oh, other senators and other reps are like, oh, I
Hmm.
do. It's like the door was opened.
Yeah. And
Usually, like, you see someone else do it, and now I can do it.
yeah, I agree. I think he provided to people both like the blueprint for how to do it and also
Mm-hmm.
kind of like he opened the door for them to do it. And I think a lot of people, elected officials feel the same way and
Yeah.
want to shake things up. And I feel as though they just weren't sure how to tread in this new media landscape. And Cory
Mm-hmm.
Booker has always been at the forefront of working with whatever social media tools are out there. He was like OG using Facebook when he was running for
He
mayor.
he he talked about that today when he was
Yeah,
talking. He
yeah,
brought that story up. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he
So
knows. Yeah, he's young. He's one. I consider him young, even though he's our age. But he's one of the which is crazy because he's one of the
he's
younger.
young. He's young.
He's
He's young.
really
He's
really
really young.
young. Like almost a baby at this point. But yeah, he's
Yeah,
younger
exactly.
compared to the other ones, right? So
Yeah.
and I think and also he embraces the new technology. And I
Yeah.
was actually working with his team. They were sharing video clips with us on demand. I was like, "Oh my god, he just said something amazing about
Oh my god,
the Tulsa
amazing.
massacre." And they were like, "Okay, we'll clip that for you." And so they
Oh my gosh,
understand.
amazing.
Yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
they
I
understand that the way media is consumed is just across your screen everywhere and in bites and also personalized. So like I took the one about Tulsa Massacre where he talked about a really smart friend of his never got taught that was the first major aerial bombing that the United States ever did, which in Tulsa
I
in
did not
in
either.
response to that the rioting or the attacks on the black
Mm-hmm.
community. So and he said, well, we've all been, what's great? It's like he said there in the Senate, on the Senate floor, what we've all been saying, fighting against the CRT people and all the
Yes.
craziness and all the
Yes.
lies. He said, why isn't Black history American history?
Yes. I
Why do
posted
we,
somebody who clipped that. Mm-hmm.
yeah, why are we wanting a Disneyfied,
That's
sanitized
yes.
version,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
that's exactly it. And that's what they're trying to do because it's in the fascist playbook, right? But you
Mm-hmm.
on the ground were witnessing that years ago. And that's why and I was witnessing vis-a-vis you and other fellow
I
educators
I
what was
think
going
that
on.
actually those of us who have been on the ground at school board meetings these last few years are better prepared for what's
Yes.
coming. Like
Yes.
the January Sixers, we knew they'd be released because that's his army. Those are the people locally scaring people from speaking out and enforcing what he wants to be happening. I mean, those are his people out
Oof.
and about locally to stop people. And I'll say, like, these people were January Sixers and Proud Boys, like Proud Boys, like
Yeah.
harassing students from our district. Every student speaker was like harassed. One of them sat down and the guy said his parents should be ashamed of him and not let him out of the house. And these are LGBTQIA students. And so,
Disgusting.
and they're allowed to just harass people
Yeah.
because,
So you saw it.
yeah. And like, I mean, the whole Nazi thing, can I say that on here?
Yeah, I think
The whole
Substack you
Nazi
can
thing
actually
we're
you
seeing
can say
now at the
Nazi on
national
Substack. Yeah.
level,
You
that was
saw it.
happening locally. I
How
mean,
so,
like
how was it? Give us an example of how you were seeing that in the meetings and stuff.
so for
Like what were they
a
doing?
while, there's like this, we call them like a traveling chaos causers.
Okay.
And they move from school to school. You see this at every region this is happening in. There'll
Yeah.
be these players and they move from school to school, making a lot of noise, intimidating regular parents from attending, and making
Mm,
it appear that they are regular parents, which is they are not.
they're not.
And we started seeing like people who were online who were very, I would go past sympathizers of Nazis, like posting
Hmm.
flat out Nazi stuff on social media, and they were the ones
Wow.
showing up to support my school board
Wow.
and
Wow.
like speaking out in support of my school board president. And one of their friends, who was also not anti, but he hang out with a guy who's, I mean, like we have pictures of him giving the Nazi salute all over the place. Terrible things he posts. It's not, I'm not just saying like,
Yeah.
the minor thing, but I
Yeah.
watched this little miniature version of what happened with Musk in my
Yeah. You
community
saw it
because it was the
happening.
whole thing. Like, you're hanging out with this guy. Here you are photographed with him. He's giving a
Hmm.
Nazi sign. You should denounce this.
Yeah.
Refused to denounce it. Refused.
Refused.
Refused. It was a prayer hand.
Right. It was just a I'm so
Oh,
grateful. Thank you. He was
I was
just
like,
thanking him.
that's
Yeah.
not a prayer hand.
No, that's not a prayer hand. Right. The same thing. They were saying the same thing about Musk. So, right. So you,
Exactly.
and that's why, I wish more people listen to folks like you who are on the ground experiencing this. But I guess on the flip side, you are equipped with this information about knowing how to fight back because you've been doing it for years.
And on the flip side, I'm okay. I think that's
You're
another
okay.
takeaway. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah,
Tell us about that. Yeah. Tell us about that.
like, is it fun going to the meetings? No, it's
Yeah.
really, it could be really soul sucking, some of them, like hearing the rhetoric and the narratives that these people, you just have to listen to them.
Mhm.
Um, the chipping away of First Amendment rights of anyone who opposes these boards that have power, who are
Mhm.
regressive boards.
Mhm.
I mean, that's what we're seeing now at the national
Yeah,
level. It's the same thing.
we are.
So, like, anything that my board could do to not give a voice to those who oppose them, they'll do it.
Mhm.
And they'll stay in that gray zone and just chip away at First Amendment rights that
Mhm.
we used to have. But I think, like, the takeaway is that I think a lot of people are scared.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's not fun, and you should definitely have safety measures in place. I don't do anything. The one time before, I didn't follow my own rule and I went to the bathroom, and somebody from another community who was there to support my board followed me to the bathroom and, like, while I was in a stall, stood outside my stall threatening me.
What? This is I mean, honestly,
I know.
like and let's roll the tape back about you advocating against outing trans students in school, like threatening you.
Yeah.
Threatening you.
I
It's
mean,
just absurd. It's scary.
oh yeah, I've been
It's
called,
absurd
like,
and scary.
everything they call you is what they call
Yeah.
me, right? All
Yeah.
those words that they love to use for us,
Mhm.
all those
Mhm.
things. I've had people walk up and give speeches about me in my school board meetings. I was at a meeting, my own teenager was there
Oh
with
my
a bunch of
God.
their classmates,
And
and
they
this
gave a speech
gentleman,
about you?
yeah, a guy from Lexit. Have you heard of Lexit?
No, what's that?
Oh, it's
What's
Latinos
Lex?
exiting the Democratic Party, and they're like a
Oh,
they
right.
come with like
Okay.
the Proud Boys and
Lex.
everything. They all kind of
Uh,
go together.
yeah.
Trump had them all at
Yes. Oh,
Mar-a-Lago and
okay. I didn't know that
everything.
was what they were
Yeah,
called. Lexit.
yeah,
Wow.
Lexit. It's like Candace Owens is Blexit.
Oh,
This is
okay.
Lexit.
It's the Lex. Right. Right.
And so he's a member of my
People voting against
community,
their
and
own interests. Yeah. Those people.
and he
Yeah.
gets up and calls me out by first and last name and tells parents that I'm grooming their kids. And my kid is sitting. My kid is in the audience with her friends.
Oh, she's like, "Hey, mom, thanks for grooming me." Like, does she mean brushing my hair? I'm confused, right? Like,
Yeah.
this is
But
just
I
honestly,
think that
yeah.
I'm okay though. I think that's the takeaway.
And I
Like,
think that's important for people to hear. You're okay. You
I'm okay. And
survived to tell the tale and continue to fight the
and
fight, right? Like you're still doing it. Yes.
mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
and the more people that speak out, the safer it is. And I think
That's
that
so
can be
important.
applied from local all the way up to what we're fighting at the national level. That if these things we're seeing happening, which are terrible and scary, and it's not to say at the
Yeah.
national level, I don't have my moments being worried,
Yeah.
but I also know, well, one, I'm a white woman. So let's start with that. Like, I
Right.
have to show, I'm going to show up because I have
Yeah.
privilege that comes with that. Like, I'm a cis white straight woman and I'm
Right.
married to a first responder and I'm a stay at home mom right now. So on paper, like,
Yeah. You're not a threat
um,
to them.
I'm
You're
exactly what they say I should be.
yeah. Yeah. You're
Um,
following the trad wife rules.
you're right.
I'm kidding, but like
I'm really terrible at trad wifing.
you're
So
like I'm hashtag trad wifing, but not really. Yeah.
yeah. So I think that that's something too. Is like the more of us that show up and speak out, they can't go
Yes.
after every single person. So I think that what I would take from what's happening locally, and I'd apply it any place and nationally, is that a lot of people need to show up. And the
A
more
lot.
people that show up, the safer you are. And speak out because they
Mhm.
can't, they lose a lot of power that way. They're not going to
Yeah.
target all 100 people who come.
That's a
They're
really
not.
good point.
And
They can't.
so they can't. And I think that, on a national level, that is something to consider also, like these
Mhm.
protests. If
Mhm.
a ton of us are there,
It's real hard to do anything to us if there's a
it's
lot of
hard to
us.
do a whole bunch. And I think that, like, that's something to remember is that it's like warn your community, but you don't want to scare them away. So I
Yeah.
think that it's like be safe, do take these safety measures, but speaking up, especially as soon as you start see it happening, is so important when you're more
Yes.
likely to slow them down at least. And so
That's
anything you
really
can
good
do to
advice.
slow or stop is important too. Anything.
Yeah, and I think that's such good advice, and I hope everyone listens to this because the whole issue here is that right before election day, I kept saying there's more of us than them. And then
So did
election
I.
day,
I've been
and
saying it for years.
and I've been saying it for years, but I think I'm back to saying it again because I think that a lot of people are scared to join us, but I think the more we speak out and show them that you're still okay and you're still
Yeah.
doing it, I think it'll get more people out there.
And you
I'm
know
back. Yeah, I'm back to believing
what
there's more
else
of
I'll
us than
say
them. Yeah.
is that I watch a lot of these orgs quote
Yeah.
they have. And it's
Mm.
the same people every time to give
Think
the illusion of many people. And
right.
so, what I find generally speaking is they all overlap. Like it's
Mm.
not a Venn diagram, it's almost a circle. So,
Interesting.
that's, and they're loud. And
Yeah.
all of these tactics work to give the perspective that there are more of us than you when it's just not true. And I also tell people, like, you're not trying to persuade the diehard supporters. And I
Yeah.
say this from the local to the top, like, put them out of your head.
Yeah.
If you get one of them, that will be a miracle. But the diehards are not the one you're looking at the people who like didn't vote. Same with
Right.
school boards, because school board
Yeah.
elections have so many people that don't vote all the way to the top. You're thinking
Yeah.
about the people that don't vote when you're talking. That's who you are
Yeah.
trying to get to be active and do something and realize they should be involved and paying attention. That's where
And
I try to focus.
that's exactly going back to Senator Booker because he's on our minds. That's what he was doing last night. He was reading letters from his
Yes.
constituents and ones across the country, and he kept emphasizing the fact that this is not a Democrat issue, it's not a Republican issue, this is an American issue, right?
Yes.
So,
And I feel
yeah,
like that I sometimes I feel like Democrats, and I've fallen into this too, are like, oh, it's performative. We don't need to do it.
yeah,
But there is a place for this. It does do something. It's
yeah,
part of a communication strategy that we should be using more because look at how much attention he brought to this today. And we're missing that on social media. We talk about all the
mhm,
time, right? Like
yeah,
we
yeah,
don't
yeah.
get the same views. I saw like on TikTok when I was watching, there was like over 150,000 people who had viewed.
Yes,
It had over
yes,
3 million likes, more likes than there are
yes,
people in the United States.
yes. Yeah, so that meant
And
internationally people were watching. And I think at some point Fox even had to cover it. So I know that we don't have a lot more time, but I wanted to just thank you so much for all the work you've been doing and say, like,
thank
I'm
you
so
for speaking
grateful.
out. I am like
Well,
a teacher speaking out. That's what I mean,
we need
it's
more of it.
so hard to get you, but yeah,
And
now
I
that's
think
another topic,
that's
I'm
what
sure.
I'm trying.
I'd
Yeah.
love to see like mass teacher protests, but that's another
Yes,
topic.
and I was talking to some people about that, and I think that we need, and also I want to see more, and this is why I love your group and us communicating. Is that yes, you are always a teacher, but you're also a parent, and I think that there's this another kind of wedge they're trying to create is like teacher versus parent, and
Oh, that's a whole thing.
that's a whole other talk. But like
I mean,
the
that's the
more
point.
right that
That's
we're
the point,
against each
because
other, I'm trying to
relationships
indoctrinate.
are what
Yes,
makes
yep,
education special and work. And so they have to break those relationships to dismantle public education, because right
yeah.
now people love their teachers.
Yeah, they do. People love their teachers. They
Mhm.
don't, and so they want to villainize us. But so that's why
Yes.
let's keep this conversation going. Tell everyone once again where to find you and how to reach out to you if they need advice and help in their districts.
So you can find me at Our Schools USA on all social media platforms. No X, so everywhere else. Um,
Yeah, no
you
X.
can send me a direct message. I am the one who receives those messages.
Awesome.
Our website is also ourschoolsusa.org. You can email me info@ourschoolsusa.org. So that's me. So all those places will go directly to me. My name is Kristi. I'm the co-founder.
Amazing.
My co-founder Christina, also amazing, used to be a school board president, is
Mhm.
actually running for Congress right now. So
Oh,
from
we'll
the
drop her info. I'm gonna write something up when I post this video, and we'll drop
and one of the
information
most
to support her.
flippable seats, so identified nationally. So yeah,
Okay, so we'll put all that information in
yeah,
when I
yeah,
post
yeah.
this. Amazing. Well,
So
thank you so much for your time,
thank you
and
so much. I'm sorry we didn't talk about Corey longer, because I'm
we're
very excited about
I
him.
we're so excited. We'll do this another time soon. Hopefully, maybe with your co-founder if she wants to jump in and
She
talk
would
about
love
her
to.
race.
Yeah,
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 we can talk about
yeah.
her race and more about Corey. Be
Okay,
like, this is a
okay.
Corey chat, but she can
I
talk about
just hope we
herself.
can see more of Corey. I want more of
Yes,
that. More of
more
that.
Corey.
And it is powerful, and everyone needs to be doing something. I don't know if you saw that part when he talked about his ties to John Lewis and
Yes,
how he's like, we have to do something. I was tearing up many
me too.
times. I'm like,
I'm so emotional. I
yeah,
feel like I feel like I'm like high or something, which I'm not. I'm
me
not.
too.
I
I'm
feel like
too. I'm sober. I'm drinking water.
I know, literally drinking core water, like actually like that I
Mm.
refilled at my school. Yeah,
Mine's like
drinking water.
sparkling
But
water. Yeah.
I do feel like galvanized. I feel inspired, and we had to keep the
Same.
momentum going. So
Same. So if nothing
yeah,
else, those of us doing this work need that.
yes,
So
we do.
So we need that so we can keep doing the work we're doing.
Yeah, because damn, it's exhausting. Well, thank you
Yeah, it
for
is.
all you're
God.
doing. Yeah.
Thank you. I adore you. I feel like we
I
already know
adore
each
you.
other.
We're friends. I'm gonna come out to
I know. I'm
California,
like,
but
I'm
just
coming to New York. I'll
hide
see
me
you
from
soon.
the. I know. Hide me from the Proud Boys when I come though. They don't like me. They don't like either of us. So
Well, they don't like
actually,
me, so
yeah,
they probably
actually,
won't know who
hide
you are
them from
here.
me. Hide them from us.
Like they you definitely, if you're linked to me, they won't like you.
Oh yeah. Oh
Here,
well. These are
ours here.
these are good enemies to
It's
have. I
okay.
think.
Exactly. I'm proud to be not liked by them.
Hated by the
So
Proud Boys. Yeah, that I'm a
yeah,
proud girl
yeah.
then. Okay, that's actually that's a great way to end it. Okay, what just happened?
Okay.
Okay, now it's time to go to bed. Have a
Okay.
great well, it's later here. Okay, have a great rest
Yeah.
of your
Have a good
day.
night.
Thank you so much. Good
Thanks for
night.
having me.
Thanks for coming.
Bye.